call the Board of Variance meeting for January 5th, 2021 into order. First, I'd like to make an announcement. Anybody that's here for the variance for BOA 201, which is the tennis courts, it's been rescheduled, so if you don't want to hang around here, that's fine. Thank you. Do you have a roll call vote, please?
Scott Cummings.
Present.
Alexi Gonzalez.
Present.
John Moreland.
Here.
Francis Reddington.
Present.
Jeff Trular.
Here.
I'd like to have the minutes approved for December 15th, 2020.
I so move. I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. I've had no ex parte.
I've had none.
I've had none.
I've had none.
And I've had none.
Okay. So that's it. We'll have the first, old business. Could you read the first case, please?
Sure, this is a request to schedule a following case to be heard on February 2nd, 2021. Determine the board's denial of the development permit application was based on material mistake of fact pursuant to Land Development Code Section 34-158. The case number is BOA number 20-100174. The applicant owner is Agent H Enterprises. The agent is Randall Whitfield. Property address is 818 Beach Boulevard. Parcel ID is 175-457-0000. Legal description are lots at 1 through 12, Block E, Monday Drive Terrace, together with parts of lots 1 through 4, Block E, Pablo Beach South, less than except lands contained in Official Records Book 1800, page 89.
Do we have the applicant or the owner come forward, please? Nobody is here.
This was the gentleman. This was the gentleman.
Yeah, I know who it was, yeah.
Mr. Whitfield was supposed to be present. I don't know, maybe something's happened, but I didn't see him in the audience.
Am I correct, if we pass this on to our next meeting, all we're really doing is we're agreeing or disagreeing with having the hearing on the 2nd of February?
I'm sorry, Mr. Vaughn, will you repeat that?
As I read this, all we have to do tonight is to say yes or no to holding a hearing on this property on the 2nd of February.
That is correct.
So we can either pass a motion to do it or not.
John,
Yep.
I hate to interrupt you, but as it is now, there's no meeting scheduled for that date.
Oh,
February 2nd, I thought there was. We don't have one next, we have one February 2nd.
Correct.
I guess my question is, should we allow him to the end of the meeting to see if he hears some ideas right away before we defer, before we vote on it?
I mean, he rejected, he didn't want it because we were short-staffed at our last meeting, so he opposed the possibility to this one.
Generally, John.
I have no problem for us discussing it right now. We were all present at that meeting, I believe. They just have some new evidence they want to show us. I'm fine with allowing that to be presented on February 2nd and we move forward. I'll make a motion to pass as discussed for, BOA 20-100174 to be heard on February 2nd, 2021.
I'll second.
Have a vote, please?
Scott Cummings.
Yes.
Alexi Gonzalez.
Yes.
John Moreland.
Yes.
Jeff Trular.
Yes.
Francis Reddington.
Yes. Okay, we have the next case, please?
Very good.
Sure, case number VOA 20-100197. The applicant owner is Justin and Jennifer Whitmire. Property address is 3081 Horn Court. Parcel ID is 180921-10000. Legal description is Lot 1, Block 12, Jacksonville Beach Heights. Current zoning is an RS2. Motion to consider a variance from the Land Development Code Sections 34-337E1, C.2, for a corner side yard setback of 1 foot in lieu of 10 feet minimum, and total side yard setbacks of 5.6 feet in lieu of 10 feet required, and 34-337E1E for 50.1% lot coverage in lieu of 35% maximum, previously approved for 44%, to allow for a coping-only swimming pool addition, and to rectify nonconformities of existing single-family dwelling with an attached pergola-covered porch.
We have the owner applicant come forward and tell us what I need a variance.
Sorry. Good evening.
Could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And if you could please state your name for the record.
Justin Woodbine,
And your address, I'm sorry.
30811 Court.
Okay, let's do the variance.
Good evening. Thanks for hearing my request. I'm here tonight initially because we applied for a pool permit that bounced back due to some previous work that we had done by another contractor. Mostly landscape work, paved patio. You can see up on the plan, pergola on the side of the house. It was our understanding that contractor had taken care of the permitting. We didn't find out until we applied for that pool that he did not. So the majority of what we're asking for tonight is just rectification from that work done. The only new coverage that we're adding is going to be for the pool pump equipment, I believe, less than 12 square feet.
How long have you lived in that house?
About 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah, the previous 44% approved was by our home builder. We bought the home as a spec home.
But the house was built in when, 2000?
2015 or so.
I just saw the variance was approved in 2005. I guess they carried that variance for quite some time. The approval of 40.
That was for the neighborhood there.
Okay. Well, that was the comparison. That's not the same house. Yeah. So I guess the builder did not instruct you that they did apply for variance and they were granted that? Or they didn't share that with you when you bought the house?
Well, when we bought the house, the 44% was already approved.
Correct.
That was upstream of us. We contracted with a landscape or hardscape installer, who assured us that everything was going to be taken care of. Come to find out, it was not. We did not find out until we submitted for this current permit.
So you're telling us no permit was issued originally for this, is that correct?
Correct.
That's for the
And
power.
you never thought there was something strange about that?
Honestly, I mean, that was the first time my contractor worked like that. He said, rest assured, I've got everything handled.
I can't tell you how many times we've heard this. I'm sorry.
I believe it.
Who was the contractor?
Art of Natural Stone on Beach Boulevard. And we did that work shortly after we moved in, so it's probably been 4.5 years that it's been on the ground. So the only additional coverage that because it's going to be a coping-only pool, so no additional coverage there. It's just the port pad for the pool equipment. So you can see that on the north side of the house, we do have the paver patio that walks around with the pergola. Pergola is extending. It's not over the line, but it does put us about a foot out. I know that the coverage is tight on there to begin with. I mean, we are asking for 50.1%. We do have a very small lot that's smaller than the standard 7,500 square feet. So honestly, we don't have much room to work with.
Yeah, I mean, just so we don't come back to this, if we do approve anything, what is your plan around the pool? Just grass?
It's going to be coping only. I'm going to do landscape and landscape lighting. I mean, we've already got the patio there.
We step by the pool, what do we step on? Is the coping then lawn or? Are you
Stepping stone.
Stepping stones around the pool?
Yeah. We're just going to do stepping stones in between where the patio is leading to the pool. Chop pool up.
You can understand if you keep adding permanent surface, it's going to create a bigger issue.
It's going to what? Sorry.
If you keep adding more tile and pervious, non-pervious surface, it's going to create a bigger issue.
Correct. We have no plans. And I also do have support. I believe that you've received emails from 2 of the adjacent property owners, one behind us and one directly next to us. they're both in support of the project that we're doing.
Can you get by with 49.9%?
Like I said, I think we're currently at 49.9, and all we're trying to add is that additional 0.2% to get the pool equipment pad. So it was a big surprise to us, and an interesting month.
Is it code requirement, George, to put the pool equipment on a pad?
It is.
Thank you. Mine's not.
Well, I frequent the park quite a bit, and I really think you've done a nice job adding that where you put your boat there.
Yes, sir.
How you focus that off instead of keeping it on the street like the house down at the end of the street.
Yes, sir.
But that also requires a variance to have that there. That should be 5 feet away, I believe.
Well, nothing is, that's just
Or does that matter, George?
For the gravel, it does not matter.
Even if there's parking there?
It says it's boat parking. If the boat wasn't there, it would just be gravel. I mean,
And I personally
there's no requirement in the
appreciate it.
code to have the gravel off of it. It's not, technically not a structure.
Okay, good.
I tried to hide it from view as much as I could. And please.
I've got one more question.
Okay. You have some-
And I do know that the 50.1% that we were asking for is quite a bit, but that's, our lot is only 6,000 square feet. You know, we're a legal non-conforming lot based off that 7,500 square foot standard. So if we did have that 7,500 square foot lot, we would only be asking for 40.1% tonight.
Well, the reality is that it is substandard, and if you were to make it what's the equivalent, if it was a full-size lot, as a category, you would be at 35.2%. So, I mean, that's only 0.2% above the line. But as a matter of principle, we've generally not approved anything that's more than 50%. In part because of conversations that we had with city council, although admittedly that was 2 or 3 years ago, and the council is different right now. But they said that they prefer to not approve anything over 50%.
Sure. Well, with the pool equipment pad, you know, with that having to be poured, I think that's the only thing that we're adding here.
Yeah.
The pool already in, you're saying?
No, no. The paver patio around the north side of the house and that the arc patio off the back is existing there.
So what is the lot coverage without the pad for the pool equipment?
49.9.
One other issue I might just bring up for consideration. This is one of the few lots, based on the survey here, that shows that it does have drainage in here. Yard drains installed for stormwater. So that does mitigate somewhat the impervious surface, just for your information.
And if additional drainage was required, I'd be more than glad to put it.
Any more questions for the applicant? Okay. Thank you. You be seated.
Thank you.
Do you have any letters or?
Yeah, I have 2 letters to read into the record here. First one is from Adam and Lauren Weston, who at 3113 Horn Court, they live next door to the property. The current yard cover or addition of a pool will not affect drainage or runoff in any concerning way. Additionally, any construction project work would only serve to increase property value. The Whitmires are respectable, reasonable neighbors, and we support the granting of the variance. The next letter I have is from Philip and Caitlin Zeller at 3084 Bullion Court. They live right behind the Whitmires residence. We approved the proposed plans allowing them to build a coping-only pool in the backyard. Considering this is a coping-only pool and a corner lot, it will have little impact on the water drainage and runoff on their property and surrounding neighbors. Furthermore, the Whitmires pool plans are similar to what other neighbors have been approved fully on Horn Court in recent years.
And close the public part of this meeting and bring it before the board for discussion.
May
I do struggle, the house is 5 years old. It's built and older. What's granted, I struggle with that.
I will say, since I'm in that park every day of the week, what has been done at the house is it makes it a very attractive area.
See.
To look into
I
that.
agree completely with that.
I struggle with how much is tiled already or paved already. The large patio and the long walkway and all of that, but at the same time, knowing what the ratio is, if it were a standard size lot, puts it into perspective a little more.
And the other thing I do comment is that you see where the tile patio and the walkway is, at least it's on the street side where it drains, it doesn't drain to the neighbors. So the water flow is more forgiving to go that way.
I'm sorry, but I just don't like the lot coverage 50.1%. I'm sorry. Okay, we have a motion for that.
It's gonna find a couple feet.
Well, I think it is an unreasonable, reasonable request. So I move we approve it as consistent with the land development code.
I'll second.
We have a roll call vote, please.
Jeff Trudeau,
No.
Scott Cummings,
Yes.
Alexi Gonzalez,
Yes.
John Moran,
Yes.
Francis Reddington,
No. Your variance has been approved. And pursuant to section 34-286. We have the next case, please.
Number 20-100198, the applicant owner is DSM Renovations LLC. Property address is 804 17th Avenue North. Parcel ID is 175-190-0000. Legal description, Lot 6, Block 3, Beach Home Sites, Unit 3. Current zoning is an RS1. Motion to consider a variance from the Land Development Code sections 34-336E1E, E1C, 3 for a rear yard setback of 11.75 feet in lieu of 30 feet minimum, and 34-336E1E for 39.31% lot coverage in lieu of 35% maximum to allow for construction of a new single-family dwelling.
Have the owner applicant come forward to be sworn in.
Good evening, could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And if you could please state your name and address for the record.
Renee Barone, 1104 7th Street North, Jeffs Beach.
I'm sorry, but we don't have any record of you being the applicant or the owner.
I'm going to an agent for the owner. She couldn't come tonight, so she asked me to come on her
Did
behalf.
she give you a letter or anything that's stating that?
No. This is a personal
John, do
thing.
you have any?
Am I not allowed to do that?
Well,
John's here too. He just doesn't want to speak.
He actually is an owner as well.
Yeah, he's
I
the
think
owner.
I think he could give his verbal.
okay.
Okay.
We just need to make sure that someone's not misrepresenting.
Oh, I hear you. That's true. He's vouching for me, which, I don't know if that's good or bad.
Okay. Tell us what you want to variance.
So we have a substandard size lot.
Hold on, excuse me, Mr. John.
Sworn in?
Yeah, wasn't she sworn in?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Spaced out.
Okay, sorry for the interruption.
No worries. So we have a substandard size lot at 9,380 square feet instead of the 10,000. And we are on a corner, so we have a little larger setback required, which gives us a smaller platform for the house layout. And we've spoken to neighbors, and everybody's real happy about what we're going to do there. And we have some communication from them here too.
Now currently, there's no house there, correct?
Not now.
And this plan is we have more elevations in this layout.
Right,
You know, is it a one-story, two-story home?
one story.
Okay, that's what we're trying to.
Any questions?
So the interior space, I'm sorry, Frank, the interior space is about 2,400 square feet for one story,
It's,
approximately.
I think it's 2,200.
20, I'm guessing,
Yeah.
I'm totally guessing here, trying
Yeah.
to estimate, because
That's
it's
very
2809 by the building structure,
Yeah, very
so
close.
about 2,300 interior space.
No questions? Thank you, Mr. Casey.
Thank
Do you
you.
have any letters or cards?
Yes, we do. I have a Jacqueline Phillips who'd like to address the council.
I'm good. Thank you.
I have a Kirby Wilson that would like to address the council.
You need to be sworn in, sir, raise your right hand.
Good evening. If you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And if you could please state your name and address into the microphone for the record.
Kirby Wilson, 1736 9th Street North, Dutch Beach.
Okay.
The young lady kind of answered one of my questions, was this a single story or double story building? Because I'm just concerned about the integrity of the neighborhood, continuance of the appearance. I know a lot of neighborhoods, to me, have gotten some giant homes in there that don't go along with the rest of the neighborhood. So that was one of my concerns. And I don't know, you said you had some support of some of the neighbors. There's an older gentleman who lives next door. I always know his first name, but I don't even, he may or may not have known about me. I know he got a letter, I'm sure. But it just seemed like this plan was, awful close to his house. And I don't know the people behind them. Maybe you spoke on the next line with it. I was just concerned, why it had to be so close on both those two boundaries, the side and behind. Really, those are my just two concerns, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, well, just so you know, they're not asking for a side yard setback, only a rear yard setback.
Oh, is it? Okay.
So they're legal in that point.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I have some letters to read for the record. First one is from Anthony and Jennifer Dillon at 814 18th Avenue North. Concerning the hearing of the property at 804 17th Avenue North and a request for a rear yard setback. My wife and I are not in favor of the approval for this adjustment on the above property being discussed for the development. Proper property setbacks allow for safety and curb appeal for all neighbors in the community. And I have I believe this is what was submitted to her. DSF Reservation LLC has applied for a variance to decrease the rear setback to 11.75 feet and increase lot coverage of 39% to construct a new ranch-style home. We are asking if you would support this request. The meeting will take place on January 5th. I have a Dorman v. Pantporter, and I can't read the other one. I believe it's probably the spouse, and they're at 803 North 17th Avenue. I have a Sidney L. Carter, and I can't read, I guess that's a signature, Sidney L. Carter, from 802 North 17th Avenue. And then I have a Jill Phillips at 1755 North 8th Street, all in favor of it. And I have one last letter. This is from Jill Phillips. Just wanted to reach out and say it was nice meeting you. I am support. If you need me, let me know.
Thank you. Do you, does the applicant want to address any of those letters? No? Yes?
Well, I can, but. Oh, well, we did speak, I'm sorry. We did speak to the gentleman that is directly to the west And he's Sid Carter on this list. And we did speak to the person that is directly impacted by the setback request and didn't really have any real concerns about it. And then actually a couple of the people that were against it are several blocks away, so I'm not understanding why they would be impacted by it.
It's their neighborhood.
Well, my neighborhood too, but,
Well,
Yeah,
yes,
I
but
understand,
you're talking for the variance.
yeah,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Okay, I close this public part of this meeting and bring it before the board for discussion.
I do like the driveway being a little larger. It does create the setbacks, at least it creates more parking. If we push that house forward, I think it would diminish the parking opportunity. So it looks like only one car garage, 20.3.
Yeah, I think a hardship that she didn't mention is that it really is almost square as opposed to rectangular. And I don't think it'd be possible to put a house in there that would meet both the front yard and the backyard setbacks.
And keep it one story.
Yeah, and keep one story.
Now, I would be,
Actually, Mr. Chairman, I was going to point that out, the minimum size building that could be there is 1,600 square foot heated and cooled with a one-car garage. That's going to give you 1,850 square foot, time you add the porches. And this home being 23, the only way to meet the minimum, if the variance wasn't granted, would be to do 2 stories.
Yeah.
The only way. Just FYI.
I'd be supportive if we just put in the condition of it, as shown in special one-story house.
Make it so.
Questions?
No questions.
Okay.
I move that we approve 20-100198 with the stipulation that it be limited to a one-story house.
Second?
Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Alexi Gonzalez.
Yes.
Scott Cummings.
Yes.
Jeff Trular.
Yes.
John Moreland.
Yes.
Francis Reddington.
Yes, your variance has been approved. Pursuant of section 34-286. Thank you. Could we have the next case, please?
Certainly, case number BOA-number 20-100199. The applicant owner is John P. Gray Jr., agent Bob Hamill with Henderson Pool Service. Property address is 3972 Ponciana Boulevard. Parcel ID is 181369000. Legal description is Lot 1, Block 12, Ocean Terrace. Current zoning is an RS1. A variance from the Land Development Code Sections 34-336E1E for 47.1% lot coverage in lieu of 35% maximum. 42% has previously been approved to allow for a swimming pool and paver patio addition to an existing family dwelling.
Have the owner applicant come forward to be sworn in, please?
Good evening. Would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this cause is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And please state your name and address for the record, and you can move that microphone up. There you go.
My name is Ross Henderson. I'm the Vice President of Henderson Pools, speaking on behalf of Robert Hamill.
You have the reason for your variance?
Our hardship is that it is a substandard size lot for the zoning. Zoning is at RS1. Minimum required lot size for RS1 is 10,000 square feet. Subject lot is only 7,315 square feet. 35% of 10,000 square feet is 3,500. If the subject lot was a standard size lot, then a variance would not be needed.
Now, there was a variance already for 42% lot coverage, right? You said know that there was a variance already for 42% lot coverage? Yes, you did.
Can I ask how all this house is as well?
I'm not sure the homeowner is here, if you have any questions about that.
As noted in your file there, the previous variance was just to build a home. It was just
2006.
to allow the dwelling, and that was issued in '06.
We saw it was 6 years later, no, that's not.
Yeah, on the surface, this is, I think, a fairly reasonable request. My concern, though, is are you really going to make it only 47.1%? I've gotten to discuss almost all swimming pool installers because of the problems that we have with making initial agreements and then finding out afterwards that, oh my gosh, the job really took 2 more percent or 3 more percent.
Right, I understand examples like swimming pool equipment, that and stuff like that. I think that Robert has gone through the process and included all of that here, as far as I know, so.
But you're the one who's actually going to put in the papers of the pool,
Yes, sir, I mean, the company, yes, sir.
and it's not installed yet.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So the current lot is 41.6, correct?
Correct.
Curving. Approved 42.
And if this was a standard lot, it would be 34.3%.
It would be
34.3%.
Thank you, John.
I'd like,
Any further questions for the,
I think I'm good.
I'm good.
okay, thank you. You can be seated. We have your cards and letters.
Yes, we have lots of cards.
Just a few minutes, right?
Ross Henderson would like to address the council.
He just did.
Okay, thank you. John Atkins would like to address the council on the courtesy of the floor.
Next.
He's in support of it.
No, wrong.
Oh, I'm sorry, John, you are next.
Wrong one.
I had this mixed up. I apologize.
That's all right.
Oh, that's it. I'm sorry.
I'll be in
I had
favor.
one.
Okay, I'll close the open meeting. Bring it before the board for discussion.
I think certainly substandard, I think, is a reasonable request.
Yeah, very, very substantive.
Okay, you ready for a motion then?
I move we approve 20-100199 because it's consistent with our code.
Second.
May I have a roll call, please?
Jeff Schuler,
Yes.
Scott Cummings,
Yes.
Alexi Gonzalez,
Yes.
John Moreland,
Yes.
Francis Reddington.
Yes. The variance has been approved pursuant to section 34-286. Thank you. Do you have the next case, please?
Certainly. BOA number 20-100200. The applicant owner is James G. Gillis III. Agent is Thomas Bledsoe. Property address is 536 14th Avenue North. Parcel ID is 174-917-0000. Legal description, lots 4 and 11, block 3, Surf Park, unit 1. Current zoning is an RS1. Motion to consider a variance from the Land Development Code sections 34-336E1C.1 for a front yard setback of 18.8 feet in lieu of 25 feet minimum, 34-336E1C.2 for side yard setbacks of 6.1 feet in lieu of 10 feet minimum, 34-336E1C.3 for a rear yard setback of 14 feet in lieu of 30 feet minimum, and 34-336E1E for 58.6% lot coverage in lieu of 35% maximum to rectify nonconformities of an existing single-family dwelling and allow Lot 4 to be separated from Lot 11.
The owner applicant come forward to be sworn in.
Hi, can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this case is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And if you could please state your name and address for the record.
Thomas Bledsoe, the address, I'm here on behalf of Mr. Gillis, which is 536 14th Avenue North, Jacksonville Beach, Florida, 32251.
Can you tell us why you need this variance?
Mr. Gillis would like to split the lot, and he has an agreement with Mr. Atkins to sell the lot 4. And in order to do so, with the lot split, it's going to make his home non-conforming by quite a few standards. And so we would like to seek variance in order to be able to, for him to maintain the property as it is. Although the plan, if a variance is granted, is to remove pavers and a gazebo in the back that would slightly reduce the lot coverage a little bit on his lot on 14th Avenue. And then we understand from Mr. Atkins, who's an experienced and prolific builder in the area, that he plans on building on 13th Avenue, something that would be conforming, so no further variance would be required for what he is doing.
What would the lot coverage be when you remove the pavers?
I'm sorry?
What would the lot coverage be if you remove the pavers?
We have it at 58.6 once that's gone and the gazebo is gone.
Can I ask a question for clarification? I reviewed your application on the last one, on the standards and conditions. Is our belief that granting these 2 variances, is there no variance that we're not aware of here today?
Well, it was not our understanding that anything we needed to ask for variance other than what was being created.
We're only here discussing one variance. I just want to make sure that.
2, lot coverage and rear setback.
Okay, but it's still the same variance. Okay, that's want to make sure that there's another one coming
Right,
down the
right.
road. Thank you, I just wanted to understand.
When was this property built and when were all the papers put in? This is Mr. Gill.
Hello, my name is James D. Gillis III.
Yeah, you sworn in?
Could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this case is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
And please state your name and address for the record.
James D. Gillis III, 536 14th Avenue North, Jacksonville Beach.
Go ahead.
So I purchased the home in 2007, and the papers were there at that time.
That was for 2 lots.
Yes, that's correct.
And you added the garage out back, I believe?
I did not add it.
That was all there for
Everything's
everything?
all there.
Okay.
Correct.
The driveway width and everything?
Yes, there's been no additions to it since my purchase in 2007.
Okay. I'm sure you can understand that's a large variance request for standard applications.
We understand that. It's pretty standard as to the state of the rest of the houses on the street.
The rest of the houses are 58%? Excuse me, the rest of the houses are 58% lot coverage?
I don't know that. I'm
Okay.
saying the size of the lot.
But you don't know that to be true.
I do have a note in the file from the senior planner that states that all the lots on the block 3 are the same size.
I'm just talking about the lot coverage, we're not talking about the same size.
I understand.
Thank you.
We discussed other ways to remove lot coverage, but since Jack's Beach currently doesn't give any credit for pervious pavers, that there was really nothing else that we could do to recover. Take out a little bit of the walkway in the back of the house, but then he's walking out his back, the back of his house onto grass with nothing to keep the rain off the house.
The driveway is also 29 feet wide, too.
Right, well, that's per code as well.
29 feet wide?
I'm sorry, I missed the first part.
No, so the driveway currently is 29 feet wide at the face of the garage. So I was looking at it.
At the base of the garage.
Yeah, 23 plus 6, 29.
According to the survey too, you got walkways going
All
all
the
the
way
way
back.
around the house.
right on the property line. I'm just surprised that did come up as a question of variance, because that's on the property line, to correct that as well.
The walkway going around the side and the back?
Is that not like an accessory structure, walkways to the property line? Or was that term used?
Yes, code requires them to be 2 foot off the property line.
Yeah, it's just, it did come up on this application.
Any further questions, John?
I have one question. I guess this approval is required for the breakout of this parcel 4, correct?
Yes, sir.
Are we allowed to make forward conditions on a parcel to be sold that maximum lot coverage could be 41% to offset the two together to make it 49.9 each?
I'm not sure, but I've
Wrong,
never seen
John?
that, I've never seen that done.
That's my question.
I don't think we can do that because there was a sign posted and neighbors notified of a variance for the second lot.
That's a good point. That's it would be max, I was just trying to offset the two together to make it back to 49.
My discussion with the department was that, we would remove these ancillary structures as a condition of approval. So if there's something else that there's a suggestion that we could do,
I'm not here to put it on your list, I'm just curious, from my knowledge.
I do recall him saying that if Mr. Atkins built the house, he would not be requesting a variance for that lot that he was going to be building on.
So he's in front.
I mean, that's a whole different matter
Yeah.
altogether.
Right.
It has nothing to do with this case.
I'm just trying.
My concern is by splitting the lots up, it becomes a financial reason for the variance to sell the lot, to build onto it, and then we're running in conditions that's much over than what we typically get.
I think it's a lot over what we
And I have no problem with someone trying to profit from selling a lot and the back lot and trying to make something of that. It's just having that much coverage on the current lot for that, which is very unusual for Jacksonville Beach. I mean, I would feel better if you came back with a proposal, what you'd want to remove from that to bring it down to more equitable lot coverage for us.
from the existing structure.
From the existing structure, yes, not us trying to decide that for you, because it's, with all the different papers and things you got going on there, I don't feel comfortable making that decision for you. I'd rather have you come back and do that, but obviously the board will make that decision.
That's good. I mean, unfortunately, I'm afraid that removal of what can be removed is not going to move the needle that much. The only thing that I could foresee doing is putting in pervious pavers, which I understand they're going to change to giving a 50% credit. Maybe that would do the trick. But I know that's not the current state of the code.
I mean, you can put gravel down, you can cut back on the driveway. I don't know how much it's really, to me, it's what you want to do because you'll be living in the home. That's why I don't feel comfortable making that recommendation for you.
You don't have to know how much square footage the house is just by itself. Listening to what you're saying about moving the needle.
The actual outside exterior footprint, the interior is 1980.
It's 2100. The house is 1980 square feet. Without the garage, correct?
That's correct, without the garage.
The garage is back.
It's a two-car garage.
Right. It's not a large house.
No. But you have four people to convince here too, not just myself.
That's understood.
Any other questions for the applicant on it?
And beyond the intent to sell to Mr. Atkins and profit from the back lot, it's removal of that structure, which is somewhat obsolete, as well as some other things that sit on that property. So, I mean, the obvious profiting of for Mr. Gillis to sell to Mr. Atkins is going to improve his life as well as other people that are involved.
No, I completely understand. It's just, I don't feel comfortable proving anything that's that far over 50%. and I think you heard earlier, we try to keep everything under 50% at the maximum.
And we had heard that going into this as well. We thought hard about ways that we could mitigate that. But we're also under somewhat of the understanding that this was originally platted as 2 lots, that it seemed like it was gonna go a little bit easier in our favor. But if there's a way that we can do it to make it more palatable, we certainly would want to do that. It's not our goal to do something egregious.
I'm sorry, we said the house was built in 2007 or you moved in 2007?
Moved in 2007, the original house was built in 48, and there were some additions put on.
I'm sorry, what was it?
1948.
1948.
And
So
there were
there's
some
no-
additions put on, I believe, in the
7
70s.
months.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay? Okay, you can be seated, thank you. We have cards, I believe.
Mr. Atkins would like to address the council.
If you'll please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And please state your name and address for the record.
John Atkins, 1888 Foss Lane, Jacksonville Beach. As has been stated, that I do have a contract to purchase the split lot, which is not a split lot, just so we're clear on this. This is 2 platted lots, right?
We know that.
Yep.
Excuse me?
We know that.
Yep, we got it.
Okay, I'm just reiterating that, if you don't mind.
No, just
Okay,
reiterate,
thank you.
John.
I will stipulate, and/or I believe it is the power of this board to say that the only reason this variance is being applied for is to split the lot,
All right.
to divide the 2 lots. So I believe, in my humble opinion, it is within the board's right to say the piece split off may not have a building permit issued. There's no variance going to be issued on the new piece. The parcel is split off. We have a plan to do a 35% lot coverage house on the new. So the blended rate, which I think Jeff, I believe you spoke to, when you blend them together, you're at about 40%, 43% lot coverage, somewhere in that area. Which is at 43 or 44% lot coverage, these are substandard lots for RS1. RS1 is 10,000 square feet. These are 7,200 square feet. We're getting real close to a blended rate of 35% if these were full-size lots. So on its face, the 58% is shocking. Wow, that's really high. I've been up here enough before you guys, the girls, ladies, to know that, there's a heartburn over 50%. What I'm saying is the end result here is going to be something that is not overwhelming for these 2 pieces of property. So, again, if you put that stipulation in there that the parcel is split off may not be granted a variance, will not be granted a variance for the construction of a new home, I'm perfectly fine with that.
I don't believe we can do that.
Well, the owner still is the owner.
The owner is the owner, and we can't do that, John.
Even if we could, I don't feel comfortable in doing that because who knows what's going to happen 5, 10 years down the road. And you build a house and someone wants to come back in for an addition, for a pool, the same things that go on here all the time.
But I'm just stating for the house itself.
I understand.
Would it be better for the board, because it seems like we're going to continue to have this problem for the present owner and/or me, that he's never going to be able to divide these 2 parcels. Is it something and I don't know if this is a question for George of the planning department, that we came in with an overall plan for both lots, and the variance was granted, you may build this on this lot, and you're allowed to split it off. You definitely have the power to do that, to say, yes, when you split these 2, because otherwise what you're saying up here is, we don't know. Because if that's the case, And then I would come in and say, this is a substandard lot. If I was to purchase a new lot and say, I'd like about 42 or 43%, which this board would be pretty apt to grant because it's an RS1 zoning, which would be a 10,000 square foot lot.
In my mind, you're making a hardship out of a financial deal here. And that's the issue I have.
That code prohibits us from taking that into consideration.
I'm sorry.
The code prohibits us from taking that into consideration.
No one's saying here there's a financial hardship. No one's saying that.
What we're saying is that you're gonna make money off of this.
Well, that's,
And we don't have a problem with this.
We have no problem with that, John.
We just want to make sure it's going to follow the code with the best.
I understand, but you have two lots of record here. You have two lots of record. The chances are, what you're saying is knock down the one house, build two new houses. But there should be a way to be able to build two houses on two lots of record.
If I could, I might propose a suggestion. Recently, the responsibility of looking at drainage on property has been shifted from the Public Works Department to my department. One of the things that I've learned in studying about how that works, when you talk about the impervious surface area, which is what you're concerned about with lot coverage, there are ways to mitigate that on the existing lot. If that's a concern in any lot, not just this one, but any lot that may go over 50%, if steps were made to mitigate the stormwater, it's an offset. For instance, there is no current stormwater management plan for that lot. If there were one, it would mitigate the fact that it was over the lot coverage.
And is that something that this board is empowered to request or tack on to an approval?
Well, absolutely. I would believe, because now you are talking about this one lot that he has, which is the one that he's asking for a variance on. For instance, if you suggested you approve more than 50% with the caveat that they do a stormwater management program on there to handle the water because it's over the lot coverage. Just throwing it out there.
But we could tack something on that's that vague? Just say a stormwater management plan?
Yes, or some type of mitigation for the stormwater, which would be approved by the city, which would mitigate the damages, which a lot of properties nowadays, they have to be guttered, they have to be downspouted, and that's all part of handling the stormwater, which is what the intent of the code is when it regulates the lot coverage. But that's certainly at your discretion, but when you're looking for options of what Mike could.
And that's something that the applicant would have to work with the city on before implementing.
Correct.
To make sure that they were actually handling.
Why wouldn't we just make it 49% lot coverage then, George?
Well, you certainly have that option as well.
Okay,
That's it. It's all I have for the board.
thank you. Scott?
That's it.
No, it's not me.
202, 202, 202.
Sir, you've already had your,
Okay.
sorry. Well, you can only you can come forward and let the rest of Mr. Atkins say.
treat people like that. You speak to them like
My name's James D. Gillis III, 536.
You don't have to do that.
Do I need to be sworn in again?
No.
Yes. It may not be a financial hardship for Mr. Atkins, but it is for me due to a divorce in 2020. So for me to stay in the home, that's why I'm pursuing the sale of the back lot. It's not my desire to do it, but in order for me to stay in the home, that's what I need to do. I don't know if that's relevant at all, but I just felt like sharing.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
We have no more cards and no more letters?
No.
Okay, then close the public part of the meeting and bring it before the board.
Well, I think whatever we stipulate as a ruling, I think we should also make sure we put the caveat on this would only be allowed until this house goes through significant or substantial improvements. if they had to go through a substantial improvement
Mhm.
permit, they would have to then reapply for a variance. This house was built in 1948. So again, at least it puts the end of whatever we approve at that point. Because I don't think I want to carry forward this kind of lot coverage if this house was taken away, so the lot coverage is 40% or 50, whatever percent we decide on. So again, that's just one I would like to add on when we put the motion onto it. Whatever we decide would be fair.
Yeah, I don't think anybody wants to see a home with that much lot coverage, but the part that I'm having an issue with is that he purchased the home like this, and it was built long before, he built and expanded long before he purchased it, and to me, that's the actual hardship, is that he inherited the home and the lot coverage in this state, and I don't know the answer to this. I don't know if we can sort of penalize him in wanting to separate the lots, which are two separate lots of record, because the home was like this when he bought it.
Yeah, but based upon what it is today, there is no need for the variance except for the side lot in the front. The lot coverage doesn't matter because it's combined with two lots. So you split them in half and then it becomes 58%. He gets a financial benefit from splitting the lots, and we're going to give him a variance for 58%. I don't feel comfortable with that.
I agree. The part that I'm saying that I truly don't know the answer to, I wish the city attorney were here to weigh in, is just legally, can we prevent him from splitting the two lots when he didn't cause the lot coverage?
But he bought the lot, he bought the property, he did buy it, he knew what he was buying, I hope so.
Yes, of course.
I prefer that they come back with some sort of proposal to bring the lot coverage down. I mean, because it was built in 1948, he purchased this in 2007, I'm not that concerned about the setbacks versus the lot coverage. You come back with something for us then that we can be more amicable about. And then they can split it, they can go ahead and build it and move on forward from there.
Well,
Now, if they come back with a modified plan, does that have to be re-advertised? It does, doesn't it?
yes, it does.
Yeah. So that would be the same as
We
turning.
would have to, one would have to make a motion to table this. And
One-
that's the only way we could do that.
One other fact that I may just point out in my learning about stormwater management over the last several months, a home is constructed on a lot. It is the responsibility of that lot to handle the stormwater. You cannot depend on an adjacent lot to handle stormwater. Just one of the things I've learned.
I'll throw a motion out. I move that we approve 700-200 with 49.9% lot coverage.
Is there a second?
Second.
Do we have a roll call, please?
I think we said the wrong part, wrong BOA number. It's 20-100200.
Oh, okay, I misread the one. Yeah. 20-100200.
And the motion would be to approve all of the stipulations, but change the lot coverage to 49.9, is that correct?
Perfect.
We have a second?
Second.
Okay, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Alexi Gonzalez,
Yes.
Jeff Sherrod,
Yes.
John Moreland,
Yes.
Scott Cummings,
No.
Francis Reddington,
No. Your application has been approved for 49.9% lot coverage, correct? Your application has been approved under pursuant to section 34-286 of 49.9% lot coverage. We have the next case, please.
Yes. Case number VOA number 20-100202. The applicant is Coastal Construction and Consulting. The agent is Jeffrey Tabb. Owner is James M. Howard. Property address is 4035 Duval Drive. Parcel ID is 181-679-0000. Legal description is Lot 8, Block D. Ponte Vedra accepting therefrom any lands lying east of the erosion control line for said county. Current zoning is an RS1. Motion to consider a variance from the Land Development Code sections 34-336E1E for 38% lot coverage in lieu of 35% maximum to allow for an additional paved driveway surface for a new under construction single-family dwelling.
We have no one applicant come forward, please, to be sworn in.
good evening, could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? And if you could please state your name and address for the record.
Jim Howard, my address that I live in or the address of the house? Where I live or where I'm building?
Where do you live?
2698 Madrid Street, Jacksonville Beach, Florida.
You have the reason for the variance?
I do. When we bought the property, we designed the house with compliance with all of the building codes that were in place. And as we have been under construction, and we have gotten information that you get when you're built under construction, the landscape architect has very dutifully covered every square inch of anything that would be covered on the lot. Like, for instance, he took into consideration the overhangs of the roof. He added in for the pool equipment. He added in for the HVAC equipment. All those things are covered that make up that 3% overage. So he even added for the fences that are along the side of the property. When we bought it, the fences were not included in the lot coverage calculation. But because we're building a new fence, he's added in, I think it's around 3% for the new fences. The property driveway has this very, very steep slope on it. And it was initially going to be a turf block with gravel in it. And as we've been under construction, the rain and the cars and that really just keep washing it out, washing it out, washing it out. So we would like to ask if we could use a block, like a Belgian type block in the driveway, so that we won't have gravel always sliding out into the street. And to mitigate that even further, in terms of, Mr. Knight mentioned something about pervious surfaces. We've added gutters, we've added downspouts that will help with the water shedding. And then we've also added after this was submitted, we put in place grass strips between the blocks of the driveway, so that even reduces it even slightly more. So if you take away the fences, which are calculated at 3%, and you take away the additional grass that's going to be actually embedded into the driveway, I'm not really sure that we're even over. So,
Just for clarity, I do recognize your hardship because even though your lot is oversized, your width of your lot is only 50 feet wide. Actually, code for RS1 is 75 feet. So we do recognize the hardship. It's the width of the lot, not the size of the lot. Which I think does drive you.
so I would really like to have had the turf block, because I think it's a great look, but I'm just concerned that it's just going to shed out into the street. I have some pictures showing how steep the slope is, if you'd like to see them. And it's just, where my poor neighbors have all, while we've been in construction, living with all this dirt, it's just shedding off my land, scooting it back, but it's a problem.
So we're going to get a little bit confused on this whole variance. the driveway was gonna be turf block, and now you wanna make it pavers because of the slant and the washing of that.
That's part of it. He also calculated the fences, which actually exist. Apparently, when we did the initial lot coverage calculation, they didn't calculate the wall, the fences. And in this calculation, they are calculated. So it's a minor number. But he also, as I said, he calculated in the pool equipment lot coverage, the HVAC equipment lot coverage, the shedding, the roof shed, the overhangs. He didn't miss a thing.
But your lot currently is 11,470 square feet.
I can't answer that question.
Yeah.
Did you raise the elevation of the lot, or is that?
No, we built on grade. Now, we have the driveway at grade. I think the FEMA requirement was that the floor height had to be a little higher. So it was a step down in the garage. So that we could keep the driveway down as far as possible. It's still not enough.
And I'm sorry, did I understand that you said you're adding some grass patches to beyond what's here proposed?
You know, if the Belgian block was like this, there will be grass strip now added into that.
And is that accounted for in the plans that were submitted?
That will be a deletion in the lot coverage if you calculate that.
Okay.
So it's possible that you could be at 35%. You just don't know.
If you took away the fences, we'd be at 35%.
I'll see the fence counts here.
It's the site walls.
Oh, site walls. Thank you.
I have no more questions.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Thank you. Did you see
Yes, sir.
the floor of the room?
Yes, we do. Start off with the people who would like to address the floor. Tom Alter.
If you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And your name and address for the record.
My name is Tom Alter. I live at 3915 Ponte Vedra Boulevard. I just want to say that, first of all, the house is amazing, and I'm really impressed by how tall it is. It already seems like it's taller than the height limit, and it's a spectacular house. And I know 3% doesn't seem like much, especially when we heard these other ones that go on. I just wanted to remind you guys that I live, the back of Duval Pond right there. And 2 out of the last 3 storms, the flood level has come right to the bottom of my door. And 3% more would be inside my house. So I know it's nickel and diming, and 3% seems like nothing, but the way that these homes have been built up around that Lake Duval and Duval Drive, it really has been remarkable how much more of the flooding has happened. And I'm not saying that it necessarily has to affect this case. I just wanted to remind you that we are concerned. Thanks.
You're on the west side of Duval Drive.
I'm on the west side.
Well, it's Duval Lake that's causing the flooding for you.
Yes, that's what's flooded. Yes, it's the backyard and that floods. And it could be because of the houses. The houses are twice as big as they've been on Duval Drive and on the ocean. This one's on the ocean. And I'm sure that all that rainwater is coming into that pond, and that's what's flooding. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a Paul Briggs who would like to address the council.
Good evening. If you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Paul Briggs. I'm at 4030 Duval Drive, Jacksonville Beach. Bill? Basically, I'd like to just reiterate what the other gentleman said. The issue is the drainage. That mean, I like the guy just fine. His people park in my driveway every day when they come to work. The issue is the water. I'm not sure how he can solve it, but the issue is really the water. That stormwater, I think, runs right into Lake Duval, isn't that correct? When they redid the road, I think it runs straight into there. The water is a very big issue.
What goes into the street, I think, does, yes.
Correct. So and it just runs right off the sand dune and right into the road and then right into the lake and then right into everybody's backyard. Thank you.
I have Martin Dupree would like to address the council.
Good evening. If you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And if you could please state your name and address for the record.
Martin Dupree, I live at 4022 Duval Drive. I'd just like to say I'm opposed to the variance because of the flood issue. Since I've lived in my house, I've had 3 floods that I had to file flood claims for. And it is a problem in our neighborhood. The house is beautiful, there's no question, but there's got to be a compromise that doesn't increase the impervious pavement. So, that's it. Thank you.
Last card I have is for Dave Dahl, who would like to address the board.
You know the routine. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And please state your name and address for the record.
My name's Dave Dahl. I live across the street from the proponent's house at 4112 Duval Drive, Jacks Beach, Florida, 32250. Good evening. Thanks for hearing my testimony here tonight. I live at 4112, which is just almost exactly across the street. Paul Briggs at 4030 is right across the street, and then Marvin's right next to him. I know that there have been 3 flooding instances. I've been in the house for 26 years and on the street for 30 years. And we are in flood zone XX to FEMA. The latest FEMA study 18 puts us in flood zone XX. All of the runoff from both sides of Duval Drive goes through culverts and out into Lake Duval. It used to be that the 37th Street exit would be backhoed. We could call when the hurricane was coming in, and Public Works would bring a backhoe down and clean out the culvert at 37. Because that water drainage, it's French drainage, comes all the way from Ponte Vedra, all the way down there. And it comes back right behind all of the houses. It's behind Tom's house to the west and behind Paul's house to the east, and flows down into Lake Duval and drains out the culvert into 37th Street for the ocean. The last few times we've called Public Works, they've told us, well, we don't do it anymore because we get more complaints about the danger and the hassle of clearing the culvert at 37th Street than we do about a flood. I haven't called, but I know that John Bordelon, Dr. Bordelon has called, and he was told, no, we don't do it anymore. So really, what we're here to talk about is 2 fundamental concepts. One is safety and one's hardship. We've heard a lot about flooding, and I won't go over that, but they said it's true. I know there's been flooding at the Meadows house, at the Dupree house, at the Bordelon house, and I don't know what's happened on the other side of Lake Duval on the east side or the west side, but it's probably worse there. So there's, as the owner mentioned, there is a very steep driveway. There's 3 or 4 times the impervious surface for the house than was there before. It's impervious all the way along both sides, north and south. It's paved where those fences are, and then he wants more paving out on the front. I don't think it's a reasonable request. When you look at the increased potential with that high slope for erosion and flash flooding, debris coming down there, and the water's going to go into Lake Duval, so the extra water. Hardship. I don't think the denial of this request, which is what I'm asking you to do, would result in an exceptional hardship. The code says that standards applicable to all variances must find that special conditions and circumstances exist which are peculiar to this parcel of land. It also says that these special circumstances and conditions must not result from the actions of the applicant, which is filling the lot up with a house and then wanting more for parking. I don't think it's an unnecessary hardship by the code 34286, and I'd request you deny it. Thank you for your time. Questions?
Thank you.
I have two letters to read into the board. I believe Paul Briggs that spoke has also had a letter here. Concerning the variance request for 38% lot coverage in lieu of 35%. What is the hardship? The subject addresses new construction. Where will the water go? Once again, Duval Drive has been redesigned to reduce street flooding, but Lake Duval still overflows. The house really looks nice and is very well done. I have no complaints. We regularly offer our driveway to construction workers for parking, so they're not to park illegal and park on the street, but I really think we need to take the water runoff seriously. Granting this variance is not good for the neighborhood in general. The subject of the property is the sand dune. No issue with flooding for the subject property. The houses on the west side of the street are not on the sand dune, but they are on Lake Duval, which all overflows in. Last letter I have is from Alice from Stratford. I do not see it. Will address the variance request for 4035 does not meet the criteria for a variance. There is absolutely no undue or unnecessary hardship. There is nothing unique or unusual about the lots that creates a need for the variance. Mr. Howard has chosen to design to build an oversized home for his lot. He is now asking for a larger driveway. There will be just two people living at home by the need for an additional lot coverage. The street had a long history of flooding even after a typical afternoon rainfall. It is bordered by water on both sides, Lake Duval and the Atlantic Ocean. The city of Jacksonville Beach invested our tax dollars to improve the drainage system and help minimize flooding. The board cannot keep allowing for larger lot coverage without putting our current residents in danger of future flooding. Someone's home flooding is a hardship. Not having parking because two people want to park to entertain is not a hardship. Being in the home design business, Mr. Howard should be crystal clear on dimensions and measurements. He deliberately chose to squeeze in an oversized house and potentially have plans to ask for this variance later. The house exceeds the height limit at various points and adores large two-story homes. It's by far the tallest home, and now he wants more. There is nothing unique or different about these lots that require a variance. For decades, people have built and remodeled on this street within the allotted 35% lot coverage. Families have lived here for generations comfortably with 35% coverage. We're glad you shared Roy Roy for special events and celebrations. We have survived just fine helping our neighbors out when our parking is needed. Sadly, we are seeing a very selfish trend of people overbuilding and asking for variances later. The hardship for the residents that endured for the past 1.5 years counting are living on the cost of construction and workers are constantly breaking our city ordinances, listening to workers before they build. The safety dangers that have been sadly created due to overabundance of large trucks, etc. Having 1.5 years not being able to literally see the road to safely pull out of your own driveway is a hardship. Picking up the construction litter, debris, and money orders is a hardship. Absolutely hard, hands down, not a hardship. That's all I have.
Hey, Mr. Howard, you want to come up and address this?
I'm sorry. I cannot hear.
You want to come up and address these letters?
I didn't know that the water behind there was called Lake Duval, and I did not know that it flooded. As I have said, the landscape architect who calculated all this came up with my county, as I said, everything including pads, roof overhangs, we're still only at 3%. 3% is a pretty small amount to to even be talking about. Also, when we bought the lot, the fences were not included in the lot calculation, but they are in this lot calculation. So if you do not take into consideration the fences and the gates and the walls, then we would not be over the maximum. If we change the driveway to gravel, it's going to shed out of the street. It's going to create a different problem. So I'm not sure I have an answer for that. We complied with the building ordinance, with height restrictions, and everything that had to be done. All that was done in the building ordinance. And there are not two of us living in the house, there's a bunch of us living in the house. So I have a very big family. So we designed the house so that my daughter, who lives in London, and comes over with her 3 children, can stay with us. And that's a big part of the reason why we have so many bedrooms. That's really all I can say. Any questions for me?
I have a question. I have a question. It seems your lot is higher than the other lots in that area. Is you sure that there's fill, you didn't put fill in there to bring up a house up higher so it wouldn't flood?
I didn't understand, I'm sorry.
Okay. Your lot seems to be higher than the adjoining lots, okay? We're talking about runoff. You bought that lot and it was that high? Or
We did not raise the lot at all.
you did not?
No, did not.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the public part of the meeting is closed, and I bring it before the board for discussion.
Well, I know we say 3% is not much, but on an 11,000 square foot lot, it does add up. 344 square feet, approximately.
Yeah, the water problem down there at that end has historically been a major problem. And I think the hardship of the people on the west side of the street overrides the hardship of wanting to get an extra parking places, in my mind.
And there was not one person that actually wanted this variance to be approved in that neighborhood.
I move we disapprove 20-100202 because it's not consistent with our code.
Second.
We have a roll call vote, please.
Alexi Gonzalez?
Yes.
Scott Cummings?
Yes.
Jeff Truer?
Yes.
John Moreland?
Yes.
Francis Reddington?
Yes. Your appearance has been, has not been approved and pursuant to section 34-286. Okay. Let's go to election for new chair and a co-chair on this board.
What's that?
So, we'll do the first vote on is for the chair. And I'll make some nominations for chair.
You can still come over for that beer.
I'll nominate Joe.
I don't know why this thing's doing this.
It sounded as though the last meeting you're not going to be here for the full year.
I'll probably be, well, it's very difficult to say. But I don't think I'll make it to the full year.
So did I hear you nominate Mr. Moreland?
I did, yes.
Yeah, I did have a discussion first for the nomination.
We had,
I did not know that. That's a very
nomination.
proper thing to do.
Is there a second for that nomination?
Mr. Marlin?
No, for yours.
Oh, I'm good. Table one. I didn't have a pre-discussion. You guys had last.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, do we have a vote, please? John?
Yes.
You know what you just said, right?
I did.
I think it's,
I went back on what I said before.
Yeah, okay. You know you're gonna have to sit here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good, okay. I guess everybody's gonna say yes, right?
yes.
Yes.
Okay. So,
All in favor, say aye.
has been approved as the new,
Mr. Moreland will be the chairman. Who's the vice chair?
Work on that now.
what would you say?
Sorry.
Yes, you're the vice chair would be.
We have to make a,
Okay, I understand.
next, Anita,
We
Thought I missed it.
select Lexi?
is that Alexi Gonzalez you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous, it
Aye.
was unanimous. So the new chair is going to be John Moreland for the first time in how many years? And the next, and our vice is going to be Alexi. Thank you very much, both of you. And, there is no meeting in January, the next one's in February.
Any candidates, do you know, George, for this one chair, supposed to be two chairs?
Actually, we do have somebody.
Our alternate is in the audience.
Yes.
Oh, I know that. Apologies.
And I'm out.
Hello.
Okay,
What'd you say?
if, yeah, when y'all get done with that business,
Okay, can you do me a favor and get this microphone fixed?
please.
That is a constant problem, yes.
Probably because of the mayor.
Once you adjourn the meeting, I'd just like 5 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.